Well, hey everybody. I'm back to do a little apartment composting update. Now, I know I told you that I was going to take some time off and I wouldn't be giving you an update for a couple of weeks, but a few things happened to my compost that I was doing inside, emulating an apartment compost. And I just wanted to touch bases with you and show you what happened to me. And maybe it's something that has already happened to you if you're composting in your apartment or composting in a small area. So let me just go through those couple of things that happened to me, and maybe I can stop them from happening to you, or you can just learn from my mistakes, because I've definitely made some. Now, back when I was starting my pseudo apartment compost, I had gotten one bucket from Home Depot. I had another one outside that was older, and I used that for the bucket that I put my holes in for the compost to get some oxygen. So I put 1/4-inch holes all around the outside, probably 40 or 50, and probably 15 to 20 of the same size on the bottom. And that was just so the compost could get some air or some oxygen, besides turning it with your hand, adding the components to it, the carbon and the nitrogen, adding that oxygen to it so it would start breaking down. At the beginning, I added an activator. I didn't use bone meal or any of those things that you could buy as an activator. I used cat food, and it worked right away. The compost started heating up within a day, day and a half, and it was too hot to put my worms in yet. So I just let it heat up. It didn't get really hot, not like a compost outside would get maybe, 120, 130, something like that. But it was warm to the touch, so I didn't want to put my worms in yet. And it stayed warm for a while, and then it started cooling down. And I was turning it the best I could. It was composting, but it wasn't composting as fast as I added ingredients to it. So it was getting deeper and deeper and harder for me to turn in the bucket, because, you know, as you guys know, a 5-gallon bucket is pretty deep, and if I filled it up to the top, it was really hard for me to turn all the way down to the bottom with just a spade or a stick or something like that. So that was issue number one. And what I decided to do was, let me get my tote over here. I decided to turn it by dumping it into an empty tote, mixing it up, and then dumping it back. Well, that takes a lot of time, and especially through the holidays and wrapping presents, cooking, having people over. Not that everyone does that, but that's what we were doing here. And the compost kind of got away from me. I wasn't coming out and turning it. I wasn't taking the time to dump it in the tote and then dump it back into the bucket. I had also decided that putting one bucket into another was not the right thing, that I should have it on a tray. That way it would drain onto the tray and it would get the oxygen from the holes on the outside. I had decided that in the beginning. So that was my first issue that I came up with, was it was just too hard to turn in the bucket unless I had a small amount. So I decided to leave it, to get rid of this altogether. I was just going to get rid of my buckets for now, unless I was going to compost on a smaller scale, say half of the bucket or less. And I decided that having it in the tote would be a lot better, because it would get more surface area for oxygen, and also on top of that, me turning it would help it out a lot. And it is breaking down, and now it's, well, it comes to about 1/4 of this tote, which is it's a good amount for me to turn. So I'm going to stop adding to this for that reason, for turning it. But also on top of that, I wanted this to break down in a 4 to 6 week period to a nice earthy humus type compost. Something I could use around my plants, that I could use in my garden beds, just by putting it around my plants that I have planted in my garden beds. Okay, so issue number 2 was, since I didn't come out here and get it turned and get the oxygen to it right away, it became anaerobic. And all that means is without oxygen, and it was becoming without oxygen pretty quickly, to where when I came out to check it one day, it was smelling like ammonia. And that's just from the anaerobic bacteria. They produce a lot of different compounds, and one of those is they produce alcohols. And those alcohols aren't good for your plants, and they will stay in the compost even later on when it's broken down and you put it around your plants. Those alcohols that are in the compost aren't good for your plants. So now I need to keep on top of this. And one thing that I did to get the ammonia smell to go away as fast as I could, and to get it back on the carbon side, was I went outside and I got a bucket full of dry leaves and used probably about a quarter of the bucket I used with leaves, and got the dry leaves in there and got it turned really well to see if that would take care of it. And that amount of leaves did take care of the ammonia smell and got it back on the anaerobic side. So, you know, getting oxygen to your compost is extremely important. The other thing, kind of, well, along the same lines, but on a different vein, you know, I've heard so many times to go to your local coffee shop, your Starbucks or wherever, and ask them for coffee grounds. And I never did that because I thought the amount of coffee grounds I had here was enough to put in compost. And it is enough to put in a small compost, but to put in my outdoor compost, I thought, well, you know, I'll take the time and I'll stop by Starbucks and see if they have any coffee grounds. And I want to tell you that they were so sweet there. They said definitely, yes, they had coffee grounds. Anyway, this girl came out with this box of coffee grounds in a bag, and I've taken a few of the coffee grounds out of the bag already, but it's so heavy, I couldn't even put it in the car, and they carried it out to the car for me, because that's how heavy it is. It's got to be a good 80 pounds of coffee grounds. Now, I can't use that right now in my apartment composting idea, because it had already gone to the nitrogen side and produced that ammonia smell. So I just need to keep some carbon in it right now to keep it smelling nice and earthy and breaking down. That's the other thing that I had mentioned in my initial apartment composting that I started, was to keep the compost turned, keep oxygen in it, and keep an eye on it, and not just an eye on it to see that it has enough moisture, but to smell it, and if it starts to get that ammonia smell, definitely get something carbon in there. And if it's not breaking down fast enough, get some nitrogen in there to get it broken down. And it's not really something you can, well, it's something you can teach it's something you can tell other people how to do, but it's not anything you can teach somebody how to do. You kind of have to learn it on your own, and that's what I was doing. I was learning how to apartment compost on my own, and realizing that if I didn't come out and turn it often enough and keep that nitrogen-carbon ratio going pretty much right on, then something was going to happen with it. So that's where I am now. I wanted to give you that update of making sure you keep an eye on your compost. And like I said, if you're already apartment composting, then you already know this. And that's pretty much it for the compost update. I wanted to tell you what had been happening with my apartment compost. And then as a little extra add-on, I just wanted to say hi to my mom. She lives in an apartment complex about 6 hours south of here. She doesn't live in this town. And when I was talking to her around Christmas time, she had told me that she watched the apartment compost video, and she would be doing it with me. So I just wanted to tell her, you know, I wanted to wish her luck with her apartment compost, and to keep me updated as to how hers is doing and how it's breaking down. And if she has any questions, she can call me and ask me anything that she needs to know about what to put in it or what to do. So anyway, hi Mom. I just thought I'd add that in there. So that was my update that I wanted to give you guys, and Happy New Year's Eve. That's what today is. I don't know whether you'll be seeing this until after 2015 starts, and if so, Happy New Year, and I hope you guys have a good 2015. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. I'm going to get this turned because I haven't done it yet today.